What's up, everybody? It's time for the weekend review. It is May 4th, and we have a big week ahead of us. And when I say that, I mean specifically just price action wise. We're seeing something we haven't seen in quite some time, and that is 9 positive green days in a row. We have marched right into the upper area of my resistance and essentially closed. And so I wanted to go over what I was looking at here and talk about potential outcomes and, just kind of toss some scenarios around and check out some levels here. So here's what we got. This is a yearly VWAP and value chart, essentially. This shows the VWAP over the course of the entire year and also has the larger moving averages on it. So this actually, we pulled back pretty hard, and we came all the way outside of last year's VWAP value area, and we came way down outside the second standard as well on here. Now as we started to march up, we're getting above the 20, and then we got back into the 1 standard in value, and you can see we just came and touched it 2 days ago. I think that was Wednesday, and touched that first standard and ripped. That was a daily level for us, but at the end of the day, it's interesting to see how they do it with value. So here's where this comes into play. Essentially, we're coming into the yearly value right now, yearly VWAP, which is pretty big at 57.45. We've got the 200-day moving average directly above that, and then we got the 100-day directly above that, so all the way up at 58.27. This thing has been on a tear, and I'm not saying that it can't go higher, because it certainly can. We're going to talk about this, but I know that from a structure perspective and from the way my process tells me is that we should be anticipating some sort of another smack. I mean, we've got one the other day that we anticipated. It paid 80 points, and I really feel like there could be another one in us, but we'll talk about that real soon. And I say that because here we are getting close to these major yearly time frame type plays here. I mean, there's a lot of CTAs and people looking at yearly value. We're coming right back into value for the year. I mean, it's like, would you if steak was $1.99 down here and this is $2.99, this is what it was, back here. So this is fair value, and you're, more than likely you're going to stop buying it when it gets to fair value, right? If you're trying to make money because you want to sell it for money. So we could get a reaction here, and I thought it was a really interesting chart, and I thought you guys might like to see this. So first and foremost, let's just take it all the way over here. I wanted to show you guys something that was pretty important. This 5,700 level that I'm looking at right here, this is the monthly leg to the all-time high. This is a very big level, and so we're going to use 5,700 as a very significant above-below spot for us. And then 100 points lower, we have the actual leg up at 56.05. Okay, so I'm driving these levels from the RTH chart, these two, because that's the way I wanted them to fit here. So, but these are the levels you want to keep on your chart for significant above or below. And we actually just popped off of 5,700 close to the close on Friday. And so it'll be a good level for us to use, again, just in terms of short time frames as well, to get below. And I'll show you what I mean by that shortly. And then, of course, I wanted to mark the April monthly high because this is just an insane candle. Now, the other thing is I don't want to pretend like we can't go higher. They surely bought this up pretty big, but just from a candlestick perspective, and I'm not saying again that this thing can't continue to march up, but this little pop doesn't surprise me, but it really would not surprise me to come back lower because of the way that this closed. And I'm just kind of talking out of my ass right now, but I do a lot of candlestick watching, and these patterns, I look for stuff like this, and so I do think it is possible for this to have another pullback. Doesn't mean it's going to get destroyed or anything, but I just noticed these type of things. So as we get into the weeklies, let's just take it over into the weekly here. We had, this is, oh, by the way, I'm using the front month contract. So if this looks different than what you guys are used to looking at, maybe on a continuous side, I'm actually using the front month. Okay, so let that be known. All right, so this is an ETH weekly chart. I thought this was an interesting spot for us to hit. This is essentially what we lost. This is the area right here on the ETH chart. It also is on the RTH chart, which I'll show you very soon. So by all standards right now, we are in this major resistance and it is untested. And I would not be surprised at all for us to get a pullback. We've had an extreme push, as you can see from this pivot right here, from this weekly leg end that was over in August. Let me find my pen here. Hang on. Here we go. Right here. We touched right here, and we really catapulted up. And so this is we've got this leg that we lost right here, guys. And so we are right here in the thick of it. And we've already played these areas. And so, this thing could get hammered. And this is by all accounts. I mean, I was looking for this, Wednesday or Thursday of last week. And then actually it was Thursday. And then we made another move higher. And that's okay. But I'm still not convinced that this thing's ready to continue higher. And I'll show you what happens if we think that's going to happen, or what needs to happen. For right now, where we've closed at is literally directly below the support that was lost. And I'll show you right here on this weekly time frame. So this is the support up right here. And then this is what we lost when we made this move down. And so 57.18 was the level that they wanted to close above. And yeah, it was great. They closed above 78, but this didn't gain, so I don't really give a shit. I wanted to see it close above 57.18, so they didn't make that happen. And really what needs to happen, and just to let you know, if we're going to continue to move higher, we need to build value above 57.12 up to 57.24 in that range. And that has to do with this weekly right here. So we'll see. I mean, as of right now, this to me still looks very fragile. I wouldn't put it past, having a sell-off come sometime this week. I just don't know how hard. By all technical terms, this thing should get fucked. But we do have a lot of support below us, and so we're going to talk about that actually. But I mean, this thing looks like it's setting up for a big dump. But you never know. And the reason I say that is because we've got a lot of geopolitical stuff going on. And I got to be frank, there's a lot of support below us. The only thing is, if we pop up here and we fail, they once again failed to gain on the weekly. And so we would come all the way down. And I don't mean just a little bit. I mean a lot. Because this weekly right here is the leg up, and it didn't gain either. So I'd expect this to play, but not to take us back up, because it didn't gain. We didn't gain shit. We'd have to close above this 57.18 to gain. And so this should just do one of these numbers. So we'll see. We'll see. I hate to get ahead of myself. I know we're just talking levels and hypotheses right now, but this is certainly possible. So here's the thing. This is the daily chart. So I've shown you guys all that stuff. Actually, let me show you this too. This is the ETH daily. So look how we've marched up here. We're right at this leg in. And they didn't close above it. If they would have closed above it, I'd be like, oh man, we're going to make a new high. But they didn't. So again, super soft, right? Like this was a bad close. They got all the way up in here. And yes, they closed above this area, but they needed to close above the leg down, and they didn't. So I do think it's possible we pull back. And I think it's possible we can pull back all the way into, this 55.90 area, to be quite frank. I'm going to show you guys on the chart here, but there's a lot of support below us. But just based on this chart here, if you can't get up here and this is the support, you're at least going to come back to here to try again. Okay, so that would be my thought. All right, so we'll see what happens. And that, this clarity actually just came to me as I was sitting here with you guys. So let's go ahead and look at the RTH daily chart now. And I know it looks crazy because there's a lot of levels up here. But it's all going to make sense when we start to get the other smaller time frame charts out. And the reason that it looks crazy, and I'll just mark it out for you so that you guys understand why and where this comes from. This was the move down. It's a swing low. It's the pop up. The next move down. All the way up. Boom. Boom. New high. Boom. Boom. So I got a support here, and I've got a support here, and I got the top down. And then up here, we did the same thing. We made this move down, so I got this guy here, and I've got this guy here on the move up. And I'm not worried about this area here. So that's where all these levels come from, okay? So with that being said, we wiped 64 for the move up on Friday. Great touch, okay? So that's gone, right? It's important to be above or below, which we'll soon show you on the smaller time frame. But 56.8850 is untested. right? And then right above us, we got 29. Okay, so we didn't touch 29. We got real fucking close. We touched the weeklies and all this other stuff, but 29 is like kind of if they make one more push up, 29 is right here, and it's only 19 points higher than where we are, and it's only about 6 points higher than the high of the day from Friday. So it's still going to put us and leave us very much inside this leg. So again, you can see this level is 57.12. If you recall, I said, what I'm thinking is what needs to happen for us to continue this push higher. Well, they'd have to start building value above 12 here for me to be convinced that we're going to continue to go higher. Because as long as they stay below it, and I'm not talking about like popping above, I'm talking about like as long as they, if they're doing this and they can't get above it, they're going to have to come down, right? And so this is obviously the first spot. So let's go ahead and just take a look at this daily again. Sorry. And we've got this 88.50 is untested too, and I'm going to show you on the other chart. So 88.50, 38, 94, and 63. Okay, these are all untested levels, right? But we said based on the other chart, we thought it was going to come down to 55.90. So this right here would be what we think based on the other chart where it should come to, which kind of makes sense because that is this move up here, right? That's that support right here, boom. And so if we're going to get smacked from up here, it would make sense to try to come back to this support, which would be right here, 55.94. And so let's go ahead and just pull up the smaller time frame. So I wanted you guys to see what that was all about. Obviously, these two levels are very much tested. And once we get below 55.63, we got some serious problems, okay? And the reason I say this is because there's a weekly down here and all kinds of stuff. Look, check this out. Hang on. Let's let this load up right here. So we got a big weekly right here at 66. We've got this daily at 63. And then this one at 55.90 is not my favorite, but it is what we saw was the target, right? There's also the monthly at 56.05. Oh, and here you go. I was talking about the 56.38. Well, guess what? There's a weekly there at 40 as well. So we've got a lot of support below us, right? A lot, because we got the 88, and then you got the 78.50 is directly below that. So there's a lot here. And I know this chart looks crazy, because it even looks crazy to me with all these levels, but it's unfortunate because this is what we have, right? So this is the area, this is the cluster that's being played right here. So back underneath 5,700 puts us into 88 area and 78, which I am not overly concerned about. I will monitor it, but where I think the real first threat is posed personally is around 38 and even more so the 94. And I'll show you on a smaller time frame here. So if we start to get smacks and get underneath and hold underneath 5,700, that big monthly leg I showed you, I think this thing can get some Momo down. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into a 4-hour real fast. So check it out. Some of the levels that I mentioned here are on the 4-hour as well. So look at this. I mean, this is crazy. All right, so I mean, we're here. We're at the very top part of this leg. I mean, it can't really go any higher without just popping the top. And what's interesting is even on Friday, they couldn't close above on this 4-hour. So the more I look at this, the more I'm like, man, this thing might get smacked, right? It really could get smacked. And as much as this 56.35 area is untested, remember me saying I like that area? There's a weekly, there's a daily, there's all that there. It's true, but this area down here is super thick too. And then you've got this nice 4-hour down here. Well, it's not nice. Let me rephrase that. It's kind of fugazi, but it's there regardless. And you've got this 50-day moving average. So there's a lot here. There really is. So let's go ahead and throw this over here. And I know this looks crazy. The 1 hour might be better to show here. Here we go. So you can see we're right above. Oh, so I didn't show you this. Let me pull this over real fast, and we'll come back to it. This is my weekly TPO chart. I put this in here for you. If we break above 57.24 on the weekly, this thing's going to come all the way up here to like 5,800, maybe even farther, 58.15, right? If we break above 57.25, okay? And you can see right here, I put this right here, weekly TPO break above. And we have that daily at 29. So just because they pop up there doesn't mean 29 can't smack. But if they build value, again, remember me saying in the very front part of the video, if they build value between 12 and essentially 29, right, then we're going to push up. But if they can't, if they stay underneath this area, this 1812, especially 5700, we start to come down. And again, these levels, these 88 and the 78, they're very much untested, but they're not my favorite. I think 38 looks a lot cleaner. 38, 40. It's also the previous weekly value area high is right here at 43. And you've got that weekly at 40. You got the daily at 38. You've got this 4 hour here at 35. Yeah, I mean, this is where I would be targeting our first target, and first major target, if we were to in fact get a short from up here on the 57.25 area. So it's still a good run. It's still 80 points. So it's a solid ordeal here. The next area down is 11. They get underneath this. And then we got this big monthly at 05 here. So, and then this is actually untested. And I like this area. And the reason I say I like this area is because there's a sweep involved here, right? So you're going to sweep for liquidity and get back above this monthly and jam out, okay? That's if that happens. That's just how the possible scenario could happen. The weekly VWAP is right there as well. So the previous week for this week, so current week. And yeah, and then underneath that, you've got another weekly and all that, and a daily at 63, 55, 63. So there's a lot here, and there's 4 hour supports underneath, and the previous weekly highs here, and there's just a lot of support. So the thing is even if I think this thing can get hit, which I do think it will get hit from up here, and I could be wrong, but I do think it will. I just don't know how hard it's going to be because there's a lot of support. And the thing is all this shit can get negated because we never gained, but it's hard to not, I mean, it's there. I still have to acknowledge that it's there. I just don't know if it's going to get the reaction I expect with this particular move down. So we'll have to just play it by ear and play it level to level and kind of go from there. So that's what I got for you guys. I hope that kind of points you guys on the right path. I put some pictures in the Substack as well for you guys to reference from. And yeah, and so I will see you guys on the war floor. Take care.